You are Locked On Lions Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, baby, how we feeling on a Monday night after the Lions offense comes alive, best performance of the season, and they get the win over Seattle. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And this is a live Locked On Lions postcast, instant reaction after the 42-29 win on Monday Night Football. Lions go to 3-1 entering the bye. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss from this one. Jared Goff, maybe the greatest game a Lions quarterback has ever played. Listen, I got the Jared Goff jersey on. I'm a huge Jared Goff fan. We're going to break that down. Defense left a little bit to be desired out there, especially on the penalty front. So they got to clean up those penalties. And ultimately, I think this Lions team starting to get their swag, their mojo back. But we will break it all down. Thanks so much for making the Locked On Lions postcast your post-game destination, free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, on YouTube, Locked On Sports Detroit. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. It is always free content in your destination for all things Lions postcast. It's all part of the Locked On Sports Detroit. And what a time in Detroit, because we're going to have a postseason edition of the Locked On Tigers postcast tomorrow. Make sure you join that. And it all falls under that umbrella of the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. That's right, Game Time, making today's show possible. And by now, you know all about Game Time, but I will tell you anyways, because that's just what I do. You got to download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game Time. It's the only ticketing app you ever need. Gets you to the game. I bet there was a lot of people that were at the Monday Night Football game tonight at Ford Field that used the Game Time app and use that promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Now the game. I want to start with this because otherwise I'm going to forget it. You know how I am with numbers. It's not great. Numbers-wise, Jared Goff was just incredible. First player in NFL history, 75% completion percentage. We know he was perfect, but they've got all those qualifiers for it to go down as a perfect game. He's got to throw 20-plus passes, whatever it may be. But tonight, he was 18 of 18, so it doesn't qualify for the quote-unquote perfect game. But first player in NFL history, 75% completion pass percentage, 200-plus yards passing, and a reception touchdown. Man, I hand up, admittedly, when Ben Johnson is in his bag play calling, I become just a wide-eyed fanboy, and I'm just soaking it in. I'm like the gif with the Michael Jackson eating the popcorn. Just feed me more when Ben Johnson is in his bag, and we saw that tonight. The play calling was phenomenal. He was a step ahead of Seattle all night long. I think in randomly the last touchdown drive where they had the screen pass to Laporta, both the broadcast crew of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman pointed out that Ben Johnson was anticipating what Seattle was going to do defensively and was just a step ahead. And you got to love that. Reminded me, if you've seen the movie Remember the Titans, who hasn't seen the movie Remember the Titans, when Yost and Boone are on the sidelines going, he's a mile ahead of you, coach. He's a mile ahead of you, coach. He's a mile ahead of you. I feel like the Seattle coaching staff had to feel like, wow, Ben Johnson is just a mile ahead of us tonight. But again, it wasn't the perfect game collectively as a team, but there was enough complementary football. The ending wasn't great with the safety. A lot of comments on that. We will get to your comments in just a moment here, but Kirby Joseph gets the game-sealing interception. And what I wrote down about this game that was a little bit different, and one thing I touched on in that win over Arizona, where the offense had a couple of times they could have gone for the jugular. They could have gone for the kill shot in Arizona, and the game just kind of prolonged. Arizona hung around. But this time I felt like the opportunities were there for the offense to really, put the nail in the coffin. And I thought they did a much better job with that tonight. They had the answer with every single Seattle answer on offense. The Lions offense turned around and had the answer going back. So let's run through this game summary real quick. The Lions took the ball to begin the game, went 3 and out. And, it's only one possession, but you'd never like to start the game with a 3 and out, but come back with a 12-play drive, 93 yards. That was after they were backed up, and it finished finishes with a David Montgomery run for the touchdown. And you got to feel good about David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I was getting a lot of people getting involved on Twitter, which I appreciate. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma. I'm always tweeting during the games, but just the two-headed monster that is Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery provides such a wealth of weaponry for Ben Johnson to use at his disposal, especially behind that touted offensive line. Now, I know no Ragnow tonight, but the offensive line still played tremendous. And then the fumble that the defense forced on DK Metcalf, you got to give DK Metcalf a lot of credit. I think in the Seahawks game plan clearly was to go to him early and often. He and Geno Smith, I give them a lot of credit because Geno has resurrected his career as an NFL quarterback and proved tonight that he is a threat for the opposition the way he was. He wasn't as good as Jared Goff, but you look at the box score, and I mean, he threw it 56 times, but he was sacked 3 times. The Lions defense gets 3 sacks on him. But the combination of Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, obviously the running back, Michigan State fans know about him all too well, 12 carries, 80 yards, and had 3 touchdowns tonight. And then you throw in DK Metcalf, over 100 yards receiving, and that is going to be a problem. That's a tough team in the NFC. There is no doubt about that. But back to the summary, I thought the defense in the first half certainly flew around quite a bit, and that forced fumble on DK Metcalf is an example of that. Jack Campbell was, part of the effort of gang tackling DK Metcalf, and he wasn't the first guy at the party, but forces the fumble, and Davis gets the return, sets up the Lions in perfect field position inside their own 20. Just a 3-play 14-yard drive that ends with the touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, his first of 2 that night, and then back come the Seahawks. They get the touchdown to make it 14-7. Lions come back with a 9-play, 70-yard drive that, again, the rushing attack and the passing attack, very balanced, which makes this Lions team so tough to defend. So touchdown drives on 3 of their 5 drives, other than that last 3 and out, to when the Lions, you thought, up 21-7, closing out the first half, trying to go for that kill shot, but unable to do so. I thought the defense played a little bit soft in that last possession for the Seattle Seahawks that allowed them to at least put up a field goal attempt. And we know it didn't go in. And, Dan Campbell even mentioned it at halftime, coming out of the halftime in his interview, that, that was a part of the plan. So shows you what I know, but they get the missed field goal. We go to the halftime break up 21-7. Now, credit to Seattle. They come right back out after the halftime break, get the touchdown, 21-14. But I love the response. And that's kind of the theme of tonight, is response, response, response. Every time this Seattle team puts some pressure on the Lions, and in the first few weeks of the season, it was the defense that I thought put forth better responses, but tonight it was the offense. And this time it's a 5-play, 70-yard drive once again. And then the touchdown play, maybe the play of the night. For me, it's the play of the night because I am a sucker for trick plays. That was incredible. Amon Ra St. takes the end-around handoff, starts to run. A little throwback action to Jared Goff, first career reception touchdown. Not only that, but you got to give Amon Ra St. some credit because he put that on the money. And the defensive end for the Seahawks kind of read it at the last minute to where he was in chase mode. And so if it's not I don't want to say perfect throw, but if it's not at least an accurate throw on the money, you're likely not going to be able to complete that. And Goff makes the catch for the touchdown. Ford Field's going nuts. You gotta love it. And that made it 28-14. But again, Seattle comes back, and that's the response that we talk about in this game. A lot of momentum-changing plays in this game. Seattle offensively did a good job, especially in the second half, had the Lions defense reeling quite a bit. But again, the response, this time it's a 1-play pitch and catch, 70 yards to Jameson Williams. And this is what I tweeted out at the time of the touchdown. I feel this way. Jamo just has that game-changing speed in an instant. In the snap of a finger, blink of an eye, whatever cliche you want to use, Jameson Williams can change the game. And just when it felt like, all right, Seattle's getting close, they're coming back in this one, made it a 1-possession game, Jamo. And you just can't teach or coach that kind of speed, which you love to see. Now, fast forward again, and I tweeted this out too. I understand why Seattle went for 2 there, and we can break this down a little bit more if anybody's interested. The analytical crowd, the analytics tell you to go for 2. If you're down 2 scores, you score a touchdown to get within 1 score, because the thought process there is the benefits of going for 2 and making it the first time so that another touchdown, an extra point puts you ahead, outweighs the chances of not getting 2 2-point conversions if you were not to get the first one and then have to go for 2 in the second one. I don't personally agree with it, but I'm just saying that's the analytics. So we don't need to get into why'd they go for 2. There's people that play this game on a spreadsheet, the analytical nerds. Not to say that analytics aren't an important part of the game of football, but that go for 2 when you are down 14, you score the first touchdown to get within 1 possession. That's a tale as old as time for the analytics crowd. So anyways, this is where it started to get a little bit dicey though, because after the JMO touchdown, Seattle comes back. It's 35-27. And then Detroit has to punt to Seattle. And this is where the defense stood their ground in the second half. It wasn't necessarily a good performance by the defense in the second half, but similar to the offense last week, when you had to have a play, this defense made it. They forced Seattle into the punt there to get the Lions the ball back, up 35-27. And that's when they go down in for the kill shot. That's what I wrote down on my notes here. You guys know I got a good old-fashioned legal pad and the pen and paper with the notes. That was the kill shot, and it didn't solidify the win, or it didn't seal the win, but it puts the Lions up 42-27 and more in the driver's seat to try to put this one on ice. They get the turnover on downs. And this is where, after up 42-27, you would have liked the Lions really to put this one on ice after the turnover on downs, but they get a little greedy, and I understand it. I understand the logic was 1 play before the 2-minute warning, so you felt like you had that opportunity to take a shot, and Tim Patrick was actually open, who, by the way, Tim Patrick, what a nice little compliment he was tonight. A couple of big catches for the Lions, 52 yards receiving. You got to love it. And just one more wrinkle that you can add into that offense. So Lions don't get the kill shot there. They get the safety, but the kill shot comes in the form of the Kirby Joseph interception. So you got to love it. The Lions get the win, big win over the Seattle Seahawks, 42-29, first loss of the season for the Seahawks. They're 3-1. The Lions moved to 3-1 after the victory. And this had a little bit of everything for me. It had Jared Goff back to JG16. It had JMO's game-breaking speed, Amon Ra St. Brown getting involved in the game. You know, he had the last touchdown reception that clearly got 2 feet in the ground. Whatever reason, the official that was right at the scene of the touchdown just stared. And for those watching on YouTube, I'm going to imitate the referee of that play, just staring right at the 2 feet going down. No signal, which was just bizarre. But fact of the matter is, Lions win this one, and you head into the bye week at 3-1. Chance for guys like Derek Barnes, Frank Ragnow, and the rest of the guys that, and even Brian Branch tonight. You know, he was out with an illness. So there's now, I know the bye week comes earlier than at least what I would like, what anybody else would like. But at the same time, you'll take the bye week for a chance to get healthy and come back stronger on the other side of the bye week. All right, lots of comments to get to. We will do that next because this is a collaborative environment. It's the Locked On Lions postcast. Shout out to Matt Derry on Locked On Lions. What a tremendous job he does covering the team day in and day out. I'm a regular, or an everydayer. There you go. And this is your post-game destination. So appreciate everybody tuning in. The fun is just getting started. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about those Lions penalties and hear your comments when we come back on a live Locked On Lions postcast here on Locked On Sports Detroit. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is brought to you by Game Time. That's right. What time is it? Game Time. Now, the Game Time app is the only ticketing app you'll ever need because it is the best, new and improved as well. So anytime you're going to a live event, whether it be an NFL game, we got playoff baseball. Maybe you're making the trip to Houston to watch our Tigers. Maybe you want to go see a comedy show, or even concert season's not quite over yet. You pull out the Game Time app, download the Game Time app, create an account, use that promo code Locked On NFL, and voila, you save $20. Now, here's why I love the Game Time app. The all-in pricing features at the top of the list for me, because now you have to toggle this feature. Make sure you turn it on in your app, but it will show you the price of the ticket. No surprise fees at checkout. Just give me the bottom line. I don't need to be swooped into some deal. No, I just need the bottom line. So you toggle this feature, shows you the total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. We've all had that experience where you think you're getting a great deal. You go to checkout, fee. Not with the all-in pricing feature. Toggle this feature on the Game Time app and you'll see exactly what you're going to pay. I also love the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, so you get the peace of mind knowing you're getting the best deal. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use the Game Time app and download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And I ask you, what time is it? Game time. All right, it's alive. Locked On Lions postcast. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And if you are new to the Locked On Sports Detroit YouTube page, I will give a quick overview on how it works. This is your post-game destination for all things Detroit and the Michigan Wolverines football program. We do live post-game shows you can watch on YouTube on Locked On Sports Detroit, or you can download the audio-only option on the corresponding Locked On show. So the audio version of tonight's, Monday Night Football, Locked On Lions postcast will be available on Locked On Lions. Can't wait to hear Derry's thoughts after this one as well. Now, the comments, I want to get each and everyone involved because that's what we love to do on a collaborative program here. We begin with my main man, Jeff Wilford. Man, missed that guy. Appreciate him tuning in. Lions win. Teddy Roll says, first, let me say the safety was a bad call. He's going down and should get forward momentum. Second, all the Jared Goff haters better stop talking. He just had about a perfect game. Teddy, I agree with you on the Jared Goff hater nonsense. Let them be hush up, I guess is a nicer way to say it. Yes, they can be silenced after tonight. That said, it's kind of a tricky rule because I had the same thought, forward progress, but the explanation of there not being there was nothing that brought the ball back. And when his forearm made contact with the ground, the initial down point, the ball was clearly on the line. So I don't like the call, but I also don't like putting Goff in that position. It is one of those things where if it works out, you say, whoa, what a great call, because, nobody was expecting it, quote unquote, catch the defense off guard when you have that free play before the 2-minute warning. But all is well that ends well. Jared Goff was exceptional tonight. Teddy Roll, all I wanted was a win for my birthday, and Detroit showed up. Happy birthday, Teddy Roll. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. They're not going to sing anymore. Demetrius McNeil, the play of the game, without a doubt, the touchdown pass from St. Brown to Jared Goff. Did I mention that the jinx of the Seahawks is over? Yeah, Seattle had won the last 6, so good to see the Lions get the win. And like I said, I'm a sucker for trick plays, so count me in. Also, Amon Ra St. Brown's last touchdown catch was impressive. He elevated for that ball, got the feet down. You love to see that. Those defensive flags were insane, but good game overall for the boys. Yeah, I think any matchup with DK Metcalf, they were asking Carlton Davis to do a lot. The Terry and Arnold one, which we're going to talk about here, he's just too many penalties. And Joe Buck and Troy Aikman both discussed it. I think Aikman was the one that was a little bit more critical and said, you got to put mittens on him in practice because he's just got this habit. He doesn't, and I played defensive back at Northwood, and we would talk about this a lot, that you just got to trust yourself. These receivers are so incredibly athletic that the human nature, when you even feel like you've lost half a step because the margin of error is so slim, is to grab and to make contact. And I think you're seeing Terry and Arnold just do that too much and not trust his athletic abilities, God-given athletic ability. And, Aikman even talked about his ability to play press man from his time at Alabama, which was really, really good. Part of the many things that made him such an intriguing prospect for the Lions to go up and get in the first round. And you remember they traded with Dallas to move up to get Terry and Arnold. And he just has to trust his athletic ability and avoid the grabbing, which is human nature when you feel like you've been beat. All right. A couple other comments. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights says, hey, Michael Lucci, is a dominant Lions victory tonight and Tiger playoff baseball tomorrow. What do we deserve to deserve this awesomeness? Yeah, it is a great time to be a Detroit sports fan. There is no doubt about it. Jeff Wilford says, great win, early lead, helped throughout the game. Just got to get number 0 to watch those hands. Exactly what I just touched on. Me and Jeff always on the same wavelength. Have been for a long time, ever since I was getting my hair cut by him. I love it. Gregory Haynes, so many pass interference calls, it was getting ridiculous. I don't agree with a lot of them. I want to, there might have been a few ticky-tack ones, but the one on DK Metcalf that Davis freaked out on and Kirby Joseph had to hold him back, I was admittedly, and if this makes me less of a Lions fan, whatever, but I was saying, I think it's clear he reached over the shoulder with the offhand and obstructed DK's ability to make a play. I thought that was very much warranted. And Davis just kind of freaked out. And I think it was more of the totality of the frustration all the way around. Casey says, once all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams play well together, the Lions will be almost unbeatable. Yeah, you're still looking for that total team effort and that domination, but significant strides taken by the offense tonight. And when the offense is clicking with that level of efficiency and Goff is connecting with every single wide receiver, and you just have so many weapons. You look at the two-headed monster in the backfield. Even Laporta quietly tonight, I thought was really, really good. He had the screen pass that we talked about, but ultimately 4 catches, 53 yards. And Jamo, I mean, like I said, game-changing speed, just 2 receptions, but 80 yards and the touchdown. And then Tim Patrick, one more element, Amon Ra St. Brown, 6 catches for 45 yards and the touchdown, not to forget what David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs do in the backfield. So again, this is one of those wins that you look at the offensive tape and you're just gushing because this is what this offense can be. And I know Seattle is missing a lot of guys defensively, but at the same time, you were at home, crowd behind you, the black uniforms. We haven't even talked about the black uniforms, and you gave the fans all that you made it worth the price of admission. Now, defense, absolutely clean up the penalties and, be a little bit better consistently for 60 minutes. But I will add, when they needed a stop, whether it be the turnover on downs late, the Kirby Joseph interception, and a couple of forced punts, especially when Seattle got the ball back down just the one score, 35-27, that defense forces the punt and the Lions go down and score. All right, more comments to get to. Mark says our linebackers are slow and what seems out of position. There were some times, I think the way Seattle adjusted at halftime, if I were to come away with one point of concern, would be how much Seattle gashed the Lions on the ground in that second half. Because first half, one of the notes I wrote down, the Lions had nearly 100 yards rushing, and Seattle, aside from a 12-yard run from Geno Smith in that first half, had 6 yards. But they finished with 133 yards. So, some simple math would tell you 133 minus 12 would be 121 yards at 121 yards in the second half. So point being, the majority of their damage was done after those second half adjustments were made. But I'm way over time. I want to talk more about this Detroit Lions team, get to some more comments, and talk about those black uniforms as well. Because I love the black uniforms, but I don't know if I love the helmet altogether. And you guys can roast me for that. That's coming up next on a live Locked On Lions postcast. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. America's #1 sportsbook is FanDuel. And listen up, I know I'm talking to a lot of NFL fans, and you can get started in a big way this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page. It's FanDuel.com, your one-stop shop for everything. It's not just a sports book, but you can follow live play-by-play, check out the stats, and make those picks and start to get paid. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you play your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. That's right. Live odds always available at FanDuel.com. And all you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. All right, just tremendous stuff from the Detroit Lions tonight, moving to 3-1 before the bye week. After that, it's the revenge game in Dallas, well, technically Arlington, against the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry's World. Can't wait for that. But the offense is back in a big way, and the defense needing to clean up the penalties. There was a lot of penalties called. I believe I wrote it down, 9 penalties on the defense alone. Terrion Arnold with a couple by himself, Carlton Davis. And you just you want to see more from that defense. I also thought James Houston had a tough night. Hutch needs some help getting to that quarterback. I shouldn't say help getting to the quarterback, just needs that complementary piece providing pressure on the quarterback, because teams you can scheme and block and game plan for one pass wreaking havoc pass rusher, but it's way more difficult if you have that complementary piece. And I just felt like there wasn't that complementary pass rush tonight. James Houston didn't look great. Other than that, they had the one sack that forced the fumble that Geno Smith was called down on, and then even Malcolm Rodriguez getting in on a little bit. Levi Wozuike. Let me try that. Remember when we used to call him Levi out again this weekend, but good to see him back. Aleem McNeil getting some pressure on him. And then DJ Reader with his first sack as a Detroit Lion. I guess he technically got half a sack, and they gave it to the other half to Levi. And then, no, he did get a full sack. That was McNeil that got the half a sack. Okay, so Reader got the full sack, his first career sack as a Detroit Lion. So good stuff there. But again, James Houston, kind of a non-existent game for him. And Hutch, you could say you need more out of Hutch. I think he impacted the game a couple of different times, but he would tell you that he needs to be better on that one. So summary from tonight: Jared Goff, first player in NFL history, 75% completion percentage, even though he was 200 yards passing, and a reception touchdown. What a night for Jared Goff. J-Mo, big night, 80 yards receiving, all 70 of them coming on one catch and a touchdown. Amon Ra St. Brown with a touchdown as well, 5 catches for the sun god, Amon Ra St. Brown. And who else got in on the action? Obviously, rushing, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs got 14 carries for 78 yards and had the 2 touchdowns. Monty with 12 carries for 40 yards with the 1 touchdown. But again, that 2-headed monster was great to see. Now, the black uniforms. I took some heat for this, but I love the black uniforms. Absolutely love them. They looked electric on Monday Night Football. I swear Jahmyr Gibbs looked faster in the black uniform, as did everybody. But I can't, and this is maybe just a little thing, but the blue helmet, I can't see the black lion on it. It doesn't, I feel like there's not enough contrast there. So I would have loved the original or current silver helmet with the black uniform. I think would be electric, but that's just my 2 cents worth, less than that. I took a lot of slack for it on Twitter, which is great. I love that. But the original black alternate uniform in the Calvin Johnson era with the silver helmet and silver pants, ooh, chef's kiss. But that said, I like the modern twist on it as well. Just didn't love the helmet. Now, speaking of Calvin Johnson, how about that? Shout out to 81, inducted into the Lions Pride tonight at halftime. Had some people at the game that told me it was tremendous. It was well done. Sheila Hempford getting a cheer and a round of applause from Lions faithful, which is so different than when she addressed the crowd a couple of years ago in regards to Calvin Johnson. So winning helps a lot with that, right? Winning cures all. So all that said, Lions will enter the bye week 3-1 before taking on the Cowboys. Make sure you're checking out Locked On Lions with Matt Derry. Shout out to him. And join us on Locked On Sports Detroit for the Detroit Tigers postcast, a postseason edition tomorrow. Tarek Skubal going for the Tigers in game 1 of the wild card. Who knew we'd be saying that? It is a day game, so skip work and join me on a Locked On Sports Detroit postcast. Try to get to a couple more comments here because I do appreciate each and everybody tuning on in. And let's say shout out to everybody, but DJ, I like this one. DJ says QB controversy based on how Amon Ra St. Brown put that ball on the money. Maybe. You got to love it. Mary Jo Isaacson, my grandmother, shout out to her. Lions defense had a hard time. Now it's a Tigers game in Texas. That's right. I wish anyone could keep up with my grandparents. They're at Monday Night Football tonight. They're going to fly to Houston for the Tigers game tomorrow. Just crazy. Crazy. Bear Island Comics says nobody truly doubted Goff. Quit baiting. Nobody's baiting anybody. Relax. There were people on Twitter that were against Jared Goff. So we've had 16s back through the entirety. So I appreciate that comment being pointed out. Aaron Kilduff, rock and roll. All right. A lot more comments to get to, and I appreciate that. And I wish I could get to each and every one of them, but here we are. Overtime on a Locked On Lions postcast. Lions win. Incredible stuff tonight from the offense. Incredible stuff from Jared Goff. A perfect night from Jared Goff. 18 of 18, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, he caught a touchdown as well. A 7-yard reception from Amon Ra St. Brown, who gets a passing touchdown as well. All told, it's a 42-29 win for the Detroit Lions, who are now 3-1 on the season and beat the Seattle Seahawks, who fall to 3-1 on the season. Lions hit the bye week before taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Make sure you stay up to date with everything from Locked On Lions with Matt Derry. Subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube. And join us for this magical week in Detroit sports. I truly appreciate each and every one that hopped on the live postcast, your post-game home for all things Detroit sports. My name is Jake Riepma. Follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And until next time, which will be tomorrow afternoon for a Locked On Tigers postcast, have a wonderful evening. And thanks so much for tuning in.